Hi, today I want to show you how to put together the percolator from Simply Crafty SVGs. So we're just going to start right in and put together the handle and the percolator piece at the top of the actual pot. So you can see how it's folded. You want to fold it on the squares as shown. Those end tabs are a little bit longer than what's shown in the video. It was too hard to glue, but that's how it's going to shape. So we want to start in the middle, and then we're going to start gluing the tabs to the middle part. So the way this piece is designed, the first tabs go underneath, so you want to line up that tab fold, make sure it's to the edge, it lines up to the edge of that handle. And then once you just hold that for a little bit, they're little tabs, so you want to hold them and make sure there's not too much glue next to the fold so it doesn't leak out too much. You want to line up that tab fold with the edge and then hold it, and then we'll go on to the next tab. So they alternate. So the first tabs were on the outside pieces, and the next tabs will be on the inside piece. So now we'll glue that to the outside piece. And you just want to hold it, make sure it lines up. And you can see, kind of see the tabs. It's hard with the black. So a fine tip applicator, if you have one, is handy with these little teeny tabs. I took majority of the glue off with my finger there. And if you do get glue on your finger, make sure you have something to wipe it off on. I usually have a wet paper towel. And then again, the tabs alternate, and now we're going to glue that tab from the side underneath the middle piece. And we're to the end, at least one end of the handle. So what we'll end up doing is assembling this piece and putting it aside, but it will be inserted and attached to the actual the percolator, the base of it. There's holes to place each side in. So now we'll work on the other side. Same process. The smallest tabs are these first tabs. And once you get those on, the tabs get progressively larger. So we just want to make sure we hold them, keep on lining them up so that edge matches up with the tab fold. No, I sound like a broken record, but repetitive is good. It's funny, as I'm sitting here recording a YouTube video, I always add these little tidbits if people actually listen to me. But as you're watching, I never thought I would actually do anything like this, because I'm extremely shy and I really don't like to be in the limelight. That's why you see only my hands and not my face. But I do enjoy teaching people things, creating and teaching people things. So guess it's somewhat up my alley. So here we go. We're getting these last tabs. The only tabs we'll have left are some little sections on the bottom piece after we get this last side tab attached. That was last side tab, not tap. So just hold that, make sure that everything's secure. And the last part is underneath. Now I didn't make it solid on the bottom because it's just too difficult to close it all up, in my opinion. It doesn't add too much, but you see that little tab here, if you can see it. There's like a little tab that kind of closes up the back side of each side. And it was a little dark. But these just flip over and attach to the opposite tab. So you'll have two open ends basically, and the middle's going to be open as well. But again, I really don't think that after doing a couple, trying to do closed, it really doesn't take away from the design too much. So we'll put that aside, and we'll work on the, well actually, let me show you how this goes on. So it'll just insert there, and we'll glue the tabs to the inside. You'll see that in a later step. So now that little top percolator piece, if you feel so bold, you could put holes in it or make it clear, but it is very difficult using acetate for this kind of thing. So you can see that we want to fold, kind of do valley folds in that middle piece and fold over all the tabs to get it ready to glue together. Then we just, starting from the middle, glue the first tab underneath the adjoining edge, lining up that edge to the tab fold, to that edge, which is the tab fold. And I had to get it situated so I could hold it. Sometimes it takes a second for me to figure out which way to hold something, which is best for me to glue it. So I do shift things around really quickly, trying to figure out what's the best angle for my hands. And that's what you need to do. At least that's what's helpful for me, I should say. So we'll just continue going around this little percolator piece. I don't even know what this piece is really truly called. I think I looked it up and it is called a percolator, where the coffee kind of bubbles up when it's boiling. But we go ahead and continue around the edge until it's complete. I do like to get these detailed things, these little ones, details on the designs done first. The ones that are more time consuming. I find to get the hard things out first and then hopefully get the easier stuff done later. Of course, the hardest part for me, I don't know about you, is paper choice. So, there you go. It has nothing to do with putting it together. I could take an hour or two just looking for the right paper. And unfortunately, I'm very partial to neutral colors, so you see a lot of browns and greens and darker tones with my designs. I really do try to make it bright, but it's just not in my DNA. That's what I leave it up to you guys to do the bright stuff. I live through your brightness. So we're almost to the end here. So it does take time, a little patience. And this is really not that difficult to complete once you get the hang of gluing them. It's nice because it has that middle base, and not everything that I put together has a base to be able to use that you can kind of hold it. The last part you kind of have to just pull it apart just a little bit to put glue on those tabs, and then complete the little percolator thing, whatever you want to call it. Then I kind of want to bend over these tabs a little bit, get them a little bit movement, because at one point they will get glued into the lid, and this is the piece, but right now we're not going to do it, but that's the piece that it goes in. So we'll put that aside for now. Now we're going to move on to the lid, assembling the lid. So you see all these pieces. So we're going to glue, this is the bottom edge of the lid. So you want to line up that, glue that tab underneath the other piece, lining up that edge to the tab fold. And then we want to do the same on the other side. Because of the shape, it doesn't really lay flat, but you can still use the, you can still line it up and use the, I'm losing my words, the table to apply pressure. So now you have that piece, and this is the next piece above that. So again, we're going to complete the edge first by gluing that tab underneath the other edge. And then we'll glue this to the inside of the bottom portion of the lid. So we want to match up those tabs with each section, but we'll glue it to the inside. So we want to add glue to the tab here and slide it down and match up that top edge on the bottom piece to the fold. And just make sure it's centered in the panel area and the little section. And then continue to glue them around onto each side. And if you wanted to, I always put this tip, but I didn't do it here. You could always glue sometimes gluing the opposite tab across from the first tab helps to anchor it in place, and then it's easy just to reach in and add glue to all the other tabs. But it's just a matter of what works for you. And you want to be really careful here not to get glue on your hands, because we don't have panels for the side. Well, actually, we have panels for the side. That it does go on. There's actually a panel that goes on these, but we don't have panels that cover like the edge, so you want to be careful that you don't get glue around those edges. But in the middle, we do have a panel, but if you want to keep it solid, because some people might like the solid color, you want to be careful. Well, either way I say be careful, but sometimes you can be a little bit messier because you know there's a panel covering everything. At least I do. So at this point I had to turn it over and reach in to apply the glue. And I'm using the Scotch Quick Dry in the fine tip applicator bottle that I have. The information should be in the notes below. So now that's done, we're going to do the same thing now. The next section, we're going to glue it similarly, but we're going to glue it again to the inside of that second section we just glued. And before we glue that on, let's put this panel. Now I didn't center this very well, but do your best to center it, but for some reason I was just off a little bit. Not that noticeable, but it was off. Or you can opt not to put the panel at all, of course. So as with others, we want to align that edge, top edge of the bottom piece with the tab fold and make sure that that tab's in the section. Then we want to anchor it. Then we'll want to glue those remaining tabs to the inside of that second piece we just attached. And now the bottom piece of which is the bottom piece of the lid. So I'm just applying pressure from inside and outside at the same time. And then we'll flip all the tabs in and flip it over and add glue from within. Just pull those tabs down to add glue. Just make sure you continue to line up the tab fold with that edge of the bottom piece that you're attaching it to as you go around. It's actually quite easy because of the angle and that you can reach in, fairly easy. So I want to zoom in just a little bit here. Sorry about that. I want to show you how to attach that percolator. So it's almost the same thing. It's just at a smaller scale. We're going to add glue to one of the tabs and place it in the section. It's just, like I said, a miniaturized version of what we've just been doing. The difference is it's smaller, so in smaller tabs, so it's a little bit more difficult. But you want to get that first tab, you want to reach down and apply pressure. I had a little excess glue there. And push those other tabs through, because you're going to want to glue them from behind. So this time I'm going to glue the opposite tab. And this is just to anchor it in place so I can glue the remaining tabs easily. If you don't get these two correct, it may be a little bit off kilter. I did make the tabs just a smidgen longer than what you see here. The final file is. But I was off just a little bit. If you don't fold them over on the folds, so you kind of want to push it through as you're folding them over to make sure that they fold over on the scores. Then it may go a little crooked on you. So I just glue each of them and hold them and make sure that I'm getting them in the correct place. And then I had a little problem with the last couple tabs. So this can happen to you, so I want to show you what can happen. And I did, like I said, lengthen these tabs just a little bit. It's a bit frustrating. But once you get glue on them and they don't glue right, sometimes it's hard to put glue on it again. But wouldn't give up. I have a panel that covers this. So once you get them attached, you'll be fine. But this is the when things go wrong section. It's always fixable. So I was just patting off some extra glue here. And then here you can see it, but I do have a panel. I just don't show you the panel, but there's a panel included with the file to cover that area. So somebody else wouldn't be able to see it in the final file. And I'm just kind of moving that around to make sure it was centered. So moving right along, we're going to add the panels to the larger percolator side pieces. Sorry, I reached across. I had a bruise on my arm too, so that's what you see if you see something kind of discolored. So we want to just add the panels where they fit. Again, sorry for reaching over. Didn't put them on the correct side. And we have these little pieces that will fit with the one where the spout will go. You want to make sure you put these on first. Especially the one with the holes for the handle, because you can't put it on after you have the handle on very easily. You'd have to cut it. So this is the one piece, and here's the second piece. And you can see with the handles, once you see the panel, you'll understand. There's no cut in it. You could cut it though, if you needed to, if you forgot to put the panels on, or if you don't want panels, you don't have to put them on. Just always an option I include on most of my files. Actually, it would be cute in a traditional metallic theme. I just decided I wanted a camping theme, so since the percolator reminds me of camping. And here we have this last panel for at least the body of the percolator. We have a couple more panels that will go on the lid. So we'll add these. Now again, if you like the look without the panel, don't include them. But since this kind of covers both those panels with the fold, is not folded, you just go ahead and center it there. You may have to hold it or rub it a little bit on the top to adhere it. But there was no purpose. You don't need to fold or anything. You just need to just glue it on there. Best bet is to center it on the top first, making sure there's an edge around all sides, and then just applying pressure. But I think after I looked at this, I thought it would be cute without the panels on the top, to give it a little bit more contrast. But always have options. Panels here. If you don't want to use them, then don't use them. I say just use my file and do what you want with it. I'm always interested in seeing the variations that come out. It's fun and exciting for me to see what people create with my designs. I know as a crafter, when I was doing other people's design, I just don't have time to do a whole lot of other people's SVG files right now because I'm designing them. But when I was, I have this weird fascination with never doing it exactly the way they do it. So, color-wise or anything. I don't know how many of you are like that, but I am. So we're almost done here with that, and this will complete the lid once you get this last panel on. Yeah, just going around making sure there's no edges that are sticking up. And there you go, there's a completed lid. And now we want to glue together the two largest pieces of the percolator. So we want to match up that left edge to that right tab fold. Make sure it's aligned on top and bottom. Just making sure that's good and secure before doing the second one. So to close it up, we want to fold that other tab. We can kind of fold it over like this to help us glue it. Add glue to the tab, and then we'll fold it over and match that edge up. Now because it's not flat, I know we're out of view a little bit, but because it's not flat, it won't like sit flat, but you could align it and then you can apply pressure by pressing it against the table. Or you could use this is the wooden chopstick that I got from a takeout place. That works really well. So there's the body of the percolator. So we want to add the spout. So you can see how it's folded with those two tabs with valley folds. We're going to glue it. The tabs are going to go in the edges like this. Sorry, I'm slightly out of view here. So we add only one tab at a time. Glue one tab at a time. It'll be easier for you. So you want to slot that in. And then match up that edge to the tab fold and then apply pressure from within and outside at the same time to that tab that you just glued. I'm just flipping it around, make sure you get any excess glue off. Then that one will just stick in and glue to the inside as well. So you can see I barely got it in first and then be able to reach from the inside to match up that inside fold, the valley fold, to the edge and then apply pressure on that second tab to create the spout. And we're almost done. I mean, we just have to attach a handle now. So this gets a little, I did increase the size of the tabs since this video. So we want to do the first one. So the smaller section of it goes, the top piece is smaller than the bottom. So we want to do the top tab. You want to fold it to the inside of the box to anchor it, basically. And you can kind of see it here. And this is going to be hard to see because of all the dark papers I used. But I think you'll get the gist. And then do the same with the bottom tab of the bottom section. You want to, I had a little piece here. But you're going to want to glue that tab to the inside. So you want to slot it under and fold it down so it glues against the side of the percolator on the bottom. And then we'll glue the remaining tabs to the inside. Now this is where you can't really see it really well, but what we're doing is folding them back on each side in each section and holding each tab to make sure they're secured. So we have to do the sides and then the top of the bottom piece. And then we'll do the top tabs, which we already did the top one, so we only have 3 tabs on the top to glue. So once those are all done, we have an attached handle. So now this time I use score tape. I've used glue in the past. You can use glue. But I added score tape to all the tabs. And I'm going to put this bottom piece on. I'm going to line it up with one edge of one side. This bottom panel. I want to make sure that's my anchor. And then if you're using score tape, you do have to be really careful, but I find it's easier to attach with score tape. And I'm just going to go around the edges and align each edge. And then apply pressure when it's aligned to the section I'm on. And then it does a pretty good job of sealing it up. You could do glue the same way. I just think score tape's easier, and if you do have to apply pressure, you can use a long utensil like this to apply pressure. And that's it. That's the finished bottom portion of the box. So we can just add the lid, add some embellishments, and that's it. The finished percolator. I hope you enjoyed this project. I certainly did. And I thank you so much for watching.